Yo, what is going on, you guys? We've got episode number 57 of Marvel Yap today. We're going to be talking about the Golden Gauntlet that Dance and I both had the opportunity to be able to cast this weekend. Also talk about some OTA hopes and predictions that we would love to see on Thursday, as well as some Marvel teams or groups of people we would love to see added to the game. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we're joined by the hostess with the mostest, the man with the fluffiest hair on the block, the blue-eyed white dragon himself, notmydance. How are we doing today, Dance?
Fluffiest hair on the block. I'm thrown off by that. That's how I'm currently doing, but doing pretty well, my man. I forgot what it's like just to actually, be able to talk with you on a screen for a bit. I haven't been allowed to. I wasn't allowed to.
You weren't allowed to talk with me on a screen because we were separated while we were casting the Golden Gauntlet, which is one of the main things we did this past Saturday, is cast the tournament on the Marvel Snap official channel. What did you think about that, Dance? We're jumping straight into the first topic of the day.
I was stoked, honestly. I was just happy to have the opportunity to do it, even if they decided to separate us, because it would be too much yapping, too much energy, too much awesomeness combined. But we both did still have a fair amount of awesomeness. You, of course, killed it with Ordinary Harry, starting off, I believe, the tournament, which was, again, great stuff. If y'all didn't see it, by the way, the VOD is, I believe, still available over on Marvel Snap's YouTube channel. It doesn't show up as a video, but you just have to go. It's like live. It's a separate tab on YouTube. You click that, you can see all their past streams. If you see the Golden Gauntlet one, I think second round of qualifiers, you're going to see a beautiful, bearded man starting it off with another beautiful bearded man.
Yeah, Harry and I got to kick off the show. Also, guys, side note, Dance and I did not intentionally wear almost the same exact shirt here for the podcast today. It's very similar. They are different shirts. They completely are. But for the way it looks, the way it's cut on screen, they look very similar. But, yeah, Harry and I did get to kick off the tournament. He and I casted the first 4 rounds of the Gauntlet itself, which we got to cast a lot of Arishem. And Wiccan, and we got to see a couple other decks, but I felt like every other match we casted was Arishem. And honestly, like, I didn't hate casting Arishem as much as I hate playing against Arishem, because I'm not there in the moment facing the deck.
Fair.
And the randomness of like, oh, what's going to happen here? Oh, what's going to happen here? But I do have a question, Dance, because this has been brought to my attention. Now it's the third Golden Gauntlet, and this is the third. This is the second one, of course, in the qualifying series. But in general, what are your thoughts on Arishem potentially getting banned from tournament play, opposed to being a completely legal deck for the tournament?
Feelings aside for a second, Marvel Snap, I don't believe would ever do that. I think if anything, if it is too much, they would probably just nerf it. I don't believe they would. I don't believe Marvel Snap officially would ban that from the Golden Gauntlet. I just simply do not believe that. But my own I mean, I don't like Arishem in general. We've talked about this before. We're not ashamed to say that we're not really big Arishem favor. Like, we're just not in favor of the deck. Just as we don't, different reasons we don't like the gameplay, whether it be makes all the game a little stuff too random, or it just, I don't know, it's not easy to just understand even what's going on, or yada yada, many different options. But legitimately, I think as well, I honestly don't know if I would ban it. Yes, it does give you that advantage in the open deckless tournament, where your opponent gets to know, the 12 base cards in your deck. They don't get to know what the 12 new cards are that Arishem shuffles in, as you technically don't know that till you draw them either. But I also didn't see as much, again, like, I feel like there's a lot at the first bit that you probably casted through. But I also think that got whittled down as it went further, because in my section, I think I only saw a singular Arishem game that I casted over. One Arishem player, maybe multiple games, but only one Arishem player that I remember seeing, because I think I was we did the, because I was casting with Super Tech God. Super Tech God and I saw the top 32, 16, then 8, I believe is what we had for ourselves. But it just didn't feel like as much there. But again, that's maybe our own, or my own personal bias. And if it's not, I don't want Arishem to exist. but I also don't want to say that it can't exist, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's here. I'm gonna live with it, but if it never existed, I probably would still, I'd be happier about some of the decisions. Does that make sense the way I'm saying it? So like, I guess I don't really want it technically banned. So
that was totally fair. I think like my idea too is like it is a pain to face, but if the tournament showed anything, it was that even though it's a pain to face, it is not a very dominant deck at the moment. Like looking at what reached the top 16 out of over hundreds of players that participated in the tournaments. And honestly, Erisham, if people were complaining about Erisham, I'm surprised not as many people were complaining about Victoria Hand. With Victoria Hand,
that's what I was gonna say.
You know, being as popular as it was, the most popular deck in the entire tournament. Destroy's second most popular deck in the entire tournament, but of course, bringing Destroy to a tournament is very rough. I feel like the last time Destroy actually did really well in a tournament was back with old Phoenix Force, the old Deadpool Phoenix Force deck, like many, many years in non-official Marvel Snap tournament, like hosted by Marvel Snap, but like tournaments ago.
Yeah.
That's the last time being able to like duck through all the tech and everything. But like since then, not as great. But like with Erisham, it definitely is a pain to face. There are counters for it, but like what made this tournament so special is there wasn't a singular deck, maybe besides Victoria Hand, that you're like, I have to bring a counter to this deck because there is a tyrant in the meta. Yes, there is, you know, Wicked, Galactus First Steps things, and, you know, there's Victoria Hand and Move. You know, Move with Sparky right now is incredibly good, but it wasn't like these decks are unbeatable unless you have a counter for them. It was like, because the way Conquest is set up, you can min-max in certain instances. You're not always going to draw the exact same. Of course, with the Galactus First Steps Wiccan list, you're drawing Quicksilver Domino, so you're into some of these better matchups or setting yourself up better for a little bit more consistency for that Wiccan curve. But what I was talking to Harry about, especially on stream too, was playing Mill into like the Galactus First Steps Wiccan deck is actually really interesting because Baron Zemo pulls a 3-cost card or higher with the way people are building their Wiccan decks right now.
That's fair. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Which, like, not saying that's 100% a counter and that deck's incredible because Mill is so, like, hit or miss or whatever. But it was just interesting to see that style of play because it was a Mill deck that also was using White Queen and it beat the Wiccan deck. It had Loki, Cable, Baron Zemo, White Queen, Quinjet, and it, like, almost skunked a freaking Wiccan deck, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." But like,
that's fun.
And we go to say that Discard won the freaking tournaments. The consistency, the all reliable. I'm gonna do me. I can interact with you once, maybe twice, depending on locations, or maybe not interact with you at all, kind of thing. Good old. It's not classic discard anymore because it has Khonshu in there. That's a brand new Series 5 card, or brand newer. Yep. It has Corvus, which is Series 4 card. It has Proxima. I think Proxima is Series 4 now, or is still Series 5.
I'll check that, but I believe she is.
Scorn Series 5. So, like, it is the newer shell of discard opposed to being classic discard. Because when I think of classic discard, I think of other stuff. Proxima is still Series 5? Okay. But this one, and it was just all reliable, all faithful, and it came down to deck knowledge, you knowing when you're in a power position with your deck. And I saw on the Snap.fan post for the interview with Electric Flame going into the Morgan Le Fay matchup, as Toxic Sulking, shout out Toxic Sulking as well, was going over it on stream today, was that, like, you know, Flame didn't face a lot of Morgan Le Fay stuff, but by looking at the deck, knew that it wasn't super interactable with his deck and that they were just going to do their own thing. So was able to really snap into a lot of power positions, knowing that if I draw my combo, they don't really have a way to stop my combo.
That's fair. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff there. I hadn't thought about that stuff as well. But gosh, it is really simply impressive that this deck managed to make it through. One of the other things I don't know if you've seen, again, in that Snap fan, do you know they posted a few other informational like bits about Electric Flame, which again, mad props to winning the Electric Flame, but also they are not collection complete. They said they're currently missing 53 different cards.
Wow.
And they usually end their seasons in the 80 to 90 range, though they have been infinite in 4 or 5 different seasons.
That is, if that doesn't say being infinite is not the end all be all, and being infinite doesn't, guarantee that you're like the best player ever kind of thing. Like, there's so many different ways to play Snap, and I think that's finding enjoyment in the way you want to play it. You hitting that rank 80 or hitting rank 90 so you can get the 500, gold, not really caring about the card back to get infinite. Like, wow. And missing 53 cards. Of course, winning the Golden Gauntlet, they do get 30,000 collector's tokens, which is really
I forgot
beneficial.
the number of that. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a few more cards. Yep. But also, like, this is one of those things where there's always going to be people who are like, hey, I can't get every single card in Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
New is cool, but you don't need all the new stuff to be good at the game, right?
Yeah.
We just, as people, we love new things.
Mm-hmm.
Electric Flame just truly showing that, like, hey, what if you just didn't have all the new stuff? Still legitimately putting down a lot of power with this list, which I think is really cool. By the way, this isn't important in the slightest, but it really bothers me that Scorn, Proxima, and Khonshu don't frame break in this image, and the rest of them do.
Well, that's because
there's no reason.
It's because they're Series 5 cards.
But is Corvus Series 4?
Or Corvus is Series 4. They're just not Series 3 cards, so they don't have, I guess, the updated.
No, those are all,
card
the rest of them
order.
are Series 5, so that would be legit. Maybe Series 5 stops frame break. Gosh, they need to, hopefully they buff Series 5 cards soon. They're really struggling out here.
I also wonder, Dance, did Electric Flame get these cards from the targeted discard snap packs at the end of last season, or did Electric Flame have this prior to those cards, like to that special pack? Like, I wonder if that's actually how they got access to these cards, if they're missing 53 total cards kind of thing, right? I don't know if that's something they talk about, but
let's see. I don't think they got it in the recent stuff is the way they're talking about this here. Yeah, no, they weren't. They said they weren't able. It looks like they just didn't have. They didn't have any information on that. They just talked about due to getting a lot of new toys. Over years with this stuff. So, also one of the things they point out is this deck's also really very resilient to bad locations, like because Khonshu and Proxima allow you to access. Which, by the way, I didn't think either of those cards would be great. Again, due to like Stardust being a card that I kind of expected in a lot more decks. Again, just kind of being fine with it. Really cool stuff.
There's a Stardust Tech deck, and then there's like Stardust Wiccan, and none of those made it to like top 8. Or maybe they made it top 8, but they didn't make top 4.
They definitely didn't make top 4. There's no, actually, I don't think any of them made it to top 8. I don't believe any of those lists personally made it top 8. I think top 8, the only one that I think we had multiple decks of in that group, I think was in the top 8 group was Victoria Hand had 2 lists.
Okay.
But I think, which is, again, just a cool little thing, other than Victoria Hand being 2 decks in that group, 14 of the other decks, every single one was, I believe, in the top 8, all the other 6 decks were different. We had, obviously, this won the tournament from Electric Flame, and then they played off against, which, by the way, wild that Morgan Le Fay with Airwalker made it into the finals. That's not even semifinals. That's just the finals.
Yeah, and I think what makes it really like good into a lot of these matchups is that Morgan Le Fay deck runs Killmonger, but it doesn't have to get Killmonger to go off in order to get the value from the Morgan Le Fay and from the Airwalker, so you can hold that Killmonger until later into the game to be able to beat a lot of the Victoria Hand decks, because a lot of the power from your Victoria Hand decks, of course, there is the card generation from, Mirage and from Iron Patriot and having other Victoria Hands, but your main card that you're trying to get a lot of or get just boosted is the Demon from the Hood. So if you can duck priority and then you just Killmonger right there at the end, you go crazy.
It's insane. Which, by the way, this is it's not even an aside, but we're about 15 or so minutes in. And real quick, just so y'all know, the other subjects we're doing today is we will be talking about our OTA wish list after we finish talking about the Golden Gauntlet. We're still doing more of that. But then we're also going to do something a little different. Talk about some teams that we actually want to see in Marvel Snap that's a bit of a different aspect that we mentioned a little bit last week, that there's a little bit of ifs and why nots or whys that they would do it. And there's some fun stuff there and some fun teams that we want to see either a whole season around or just get these characters, get this team featured within the game. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but also it was just so much cool stuff. The number 3 list was from Eva Zord, which, by the way, I didn't realize it was Eva Zord. I kept on saying it was Madam Eva, and I thought that was a she, but it's Eva Zord. Sparky move with basically classic move, as classic move is now running like Cosmo and Eliath for like tech pieces, which is, I'm sad by that, but it does make sense. It was another really powerful list, and one that I even remember trying to cast over, and I just said, I don't know what I would do here. I don't know what to do. There's so many different pieces, so many different things you can be doing with this list, that it's a very powerful list. I thought that was really impressive as well.
Yeah, it hurts your brain sometimes. Like, there's so many different ways, and like, I've been playing a little bit of something like that. Of course, not as well as Eva Zord's been playing that list, but like, a lot of move boils down to 50-50 move, like interactions. So like, you have to really just bank on and make soul reads in order to really optimize that style of list. So like, you have, I think you've Cloak, and you have, or I don't know if that version, or that version's running Cloak, but like, there's the Cloak version. I don't think that version.
I believe that one had Cloak.
Okay.
Yeah,
but like, there's Cloak, so you're like, okay, well, my opponent has the option to move their cards now, so you have the psychology of, well, are you guys going to move your cards to contest what I'm doing here? And then Sparky to move cards back. Like, Sparky opens up the door to another level of move, because like, do I activate Sparky now? Do I activate Sparky on turn 6, knowing what card's moving last? Like, there's so much to it. Which I think is freaking crazy, but it is easily one of the hardest decks to play in Marvel Snap.
It is it's such a difficult list to try to make sure you're playing correctly. And again, mad props to Eva for that one as well. And I totally forgot the name of this person, but number 4, at least in the total tournament, was one of the Victoria Hand players in the top 8, which I actually expected Victoria Hand to take it home. Felt like a list that I saw. There were 2 lists that I saw people talking about, and they were like, these lists are potentially too good. Actually, maybe 3, whatever. I'm gonna say 2. 2 lists I saw people were saying really was good, and they were like really good to win with. Without me saying what they are, what would you say? Let's imagine Victoria Hand's one. What would you say is the other list that, without expecting it in the tournament, you would have expected to win?
I mean, I would have said Move.
Move is one of the ones I forgot about, and maybe I should have said that. But also Cerebro.
Cerebro, I see the argument for Cerebro, and Cerebro did pretty well in the opening rounds of the tournament. But I think one of the tough sides just about Cerebro in a conquest format is if Cerebro doesn't take the game earlier, like it doesn't take it in like the earlier rounds, your options don't get slimmer, but the odds of location variance really screwing you up in high stakes is really where your opponent gets to bleed you out, because they snap into that location variance in order to offset and force you to either commit now or to retreat. And if you're constantly retreating, you're losing your tempo into that, which is why I'm saying like trying to win earlier with Cerebro. And then into like the Victoria Hand stuff. Not like a lot of Victoria Hand stuff has like crazy, interaction with Cerebro too, but can have like some sneaky power and stuff to be able to like either get into some of those locations or like some of these Cerebro 2 is what I'm thinking of more like specifically with like the Brood and the Sinister and stuff, is like the Stardust is a really good, matchup into that. Whereas like you can't really Enchantress Cerebro. And, well, Cerebro 2 can Enchantress if they don't put their Cerebro and stuff behind Goose. Depends on, like, the version they're running. But I think location variance is the biggest. Yeah. But I think the location variance is the biggest downside to Cerebro in, like, a tournament setting.
So I think it's fair, but I also, again, I think specifically with the Storm and Nico stuff, I think you typically have enough. But I'd actually argue, and I saw a list, and it didn't make it even, I think, to the top 16, but I loved it. A list running Adam Warlock. Because if you play Adam Warlock, and this list typically runs Shadow King also isn't stopped by Luke Cage, so it also tries to give you additional reasons for you to potentially draw your Cerebro. And I saw more Cerebro players struggle. Again, my own sample size or whatever. Cerebro players struggle due to not drawing your Cerebro because you basically need to win the game with that. Than that as well. But it is, there's a lot of really cool stuff. The other, just rounding out the top 8, number 5 from Honifer also was playing Victoria Hand. However, with Merlin and Werewolf by Night for a little bit extra fun stuff. And then Bad Musician was one of the, I think the only one in the top 8 who got with Arishem. There's actually one more person top 16 who had made it as well. And then El Silvestro was playing a Ronin Supergiant list, which I wouldn't have expected again in the top 8, which I thought was interesting. And then Veronica, I believe, was playing, let me pull this one up to make sure it's correct. Yeah, it was playing Clog. So
Clog.
A lot of lists that I feel like I wouldn't say are Meta dominators, other than maybe just Victoria Hand, but and Move. A lot of lists made it really far. Going to show one of the things that I really liked, and also we actually see inside of that article you're talking about before from Snap.fan, where what is it? Electric Flame said, originally wasn't going to be playing Discard. I had just thrown together an Arishem list with the initial thought process being that if everyone can see my list, I want to be able to surprise them. But on testing, the more I played with it, I started to struggle. And as we got closer to the submission deadline, swapped to the Discard deck, and I realized that I wasn't familiar enough with Arishem to be able to play it at a tournament level. So I went with something I was familiar with. Here, I have a little bit of paraphrasing and some of that stuff. But yeah, so it's like a lot of really cool decks, a lot of really awesome, powerful things. But I think the biggest thing that'll come down to, in my personal opinion, and I feel like we've talked about this before, play what you're good at.
Yes.
I don't believe anyone would have said going into this tournament, Discard is going to win this tournament.
No.
And it did.
Yeah. No.
Due to Electric Flame just being really smart and knowledgeable about this specific stuff. Even though they said like they didn't know the whole the Morgan Le Fay list, they like you said, they didn't have a lot of ways to interact. So they were like, all right, let's just put numbers down.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it right on the head. I mean, it's what Derek did in like the first Golden Gauntlet 2 with Bounce. Is he knows that shell just incredibly well, knows how it plays into a lot of different matchups. So he has the confidence to snap into certain conditions, as well as knowing when your opponent doesn't have the cards they have at certain tempo points to be able to snap as well and play aggressively. And I think that's like when it comes to snap and knowing your list as well, is snapping, knowing your deck into certain matchups, and when you're in a power point or a power stance and they're not in a power stance, to be able to maximize those cubes, which also, it's bully snapping, but getting to also those situations when you're up like a 5-3 or you're up like a 5-4 kind of situation where it's like, okay, well, if I lose this, we're going to go to, 2 rounds anyways. Like just being able to like make them force themselves to go all in or force themselves to retreat, like the psychology behind the snapping. And like it plays so much more into poker. You see it more like the poker side of Snap more in a Conquest tournament setting than I think you do on ladder. And you especially see it like with the casting and the commentating, which helps kind of, identify, what's going on and explain it a lot better. And I think people really learn from watching tournaments and stuff too, and can improve their gameplay just by watching and understanding, seeing how people play these certain lists.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of really awesome stuff, and I am glad that both you and I were able to be a part of this one. And you're qualified for the Worlds, right?
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I qualified for Worlds.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna need I'm gonna just rally together everyone I know that's just qualified for the Worlds. Be like, all right, I'm gonna want all of you in a call in the background for me for this next one. I need to get there.
Do that.
Oh, can you not coach through?
You cannot coach through.
Okay, cool. So just stream won't be able to hear you. Got it. I'm joking. But legitimately, just a great experience. So thank you to the Game On staff. Thank you to Second Dinner, everyone involved, Guest Gaming, who ran a lot of stuff behind the scenes, by the way, just as an aside. The man was going crazy. Thank you to everyone involved for giving us this opportunity that we were very happy about, very stoked to be a part of. And I don't know, maybe we'll get the chance to sometime in the future, maybe yap with each other during the actual
maybe
thing.
We'll host another tournament or something.
That was like, how early were we even doing this yap back then when we hosted that tournament?
It was right before we started doing the yap. Erisham Anarchy last July.
Oh yeah, because Erisham was coming out, and we were like, all right, what if you just you had no control over your. Oh, that was a fun time. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was really enjoyable stuff. Gosh, I don't know. Snap's cool, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for what's to come after this, because I think this next week we have a lot of stuff happening, and people are going to change maybe some of the decks they're playing because of the Golden Gauntlet, which is why it brings us to our second topic of today, which we're going to be talking about some OTA hopes, OTA wishes, because we have an OTA on Thursday, and maybe the Golden Gauntlet has some emphasis on what cards might be getting hit. Or maybe
you want me
not.
to tell you why I think I'm gonna get every single one of the things for it? I'm gonna be completely right here.
Okay.
Yep, definitely not coping at all. Listen, my birthday's on Thursday. Okay, so the same day as the OTA is my birthday. There's no way Ben wouldn't be like Ben wouldn't just be trying to like dissuade me here after I was literally just.
Do you
on
have a
their
birthday
channel, right?
stream or anything on Thursday going on?
God, I don't think so. I don't think I'll be.
So Dance is going to have a birthday stream on Thursday. He's also going to be getting Borderlands 4, so he can play with me on Thursday. But Dance's birthday is going to be on Thursday. So if Dance does not stream, we need to all bully Dance into streaming on his birthday. Which, by the way, if you guys do want to catch any of Dance's streams, he does stream on Twitch, and that info will be down in the description below, as well as content for his YouTube, his Twitter, where he posts all of his info for the decks he's been playing, and links to his YouTube on the Twitter as well. The Bastion deck we're going to be talking about today. Dance is going to make a video about. I might actually make a video about too, because it looks freaking awesome.
I like your other one too, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we have two decks that we'll be talking about later. But guys, definitely check out all of Dance's info. He makes absolutely fantastic content. If you guys are not following or subscribed to Dance on any of his channels, you guys are missing out on a lot of stuff. Also, we are going to get into a better habit of posting this on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
That's my fault. I'm fixing it. I forgot because I had finals, and then I just forgot.
Yeah, no, but it's not just on Dance, because I've also forgotten too. It's on both of us for just forgetting in general. It happens, but audio listeners, we're going to be back on Spotify. This might even be on Spotify right now. So we are talking in like 50 cents. Okay, then yeah, we're from where we were to where we are now.
I think I uploaded the day that you messaged that to me, which was, I don't know, it was last week, whatever. I think I uploaded about 13 or 14 episodes.
Okay.
So I still got a few more to get through, but if I've done everything correctly, this should be the return to us actually having stuff live on the platforms.
Yep. Which, by the way, Dance, what is the first card you want to talk about for the OTA here?
All right, listen, I already coped with this card. We actually coped with this a little bit with Pulse Glazer talking about this, and I know you don't have them, so we're going to start with this immediately. The card's awesome. It's in the name, Awesome Andy. I want Awesome Andy just to get another point of power, and I don't want crazy stuff. I just want Awesome Andy to go to a 2/2. It's nothing crazy here. I've really enjoyed the card. I had a lot of fun with it. However, the only way I was able to use it was being able to get rid of the body. So it just doesn't leave anything on the board. I just want make it a 2/2 a minimum. Just give me a little bit something extra. I'm not expecting it to break the bank. It might still even be bad here, but just a little bit.
I'm okay. Awesome Andy 2/2. I think that'd be fair. I think if they're wanting to sell these cards in the packs, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something to Awesome Andy. And I think you're using Cersei as a card to kind of get rid of the body on Awesome Andy, which I still think is crazy, because the 2 to 3, the 3 cost transformation.
I know you were talking with me about this, and you're like, the 3 cost is the worst one.
It is.
You're correct. However, pocket meta, circumstantial evidence, I never got anything really atrocious. I think the worst one I got was a Venom that was still really large.
I mean, just statistically, it's the worst to transform.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
But I think Cersei's one of those cards that's kind of like fallen out of the meta quite a bit just because Merlin came out and, the changes to Viper making it better for like the that style of clog. And, also Stardust also is really good into the Sentry kind of stuff. So maybe Cersei goes to a 5/8, or what if you make Cersei a 4 cost or something? I don't know. I just think this is a card that needs a little bit more love. Maybe the 5/8 is just all it is, but I don't know.
I think 5/8 or 5/9 are completely fair for Cersei.
Yeah, so
legitimately. I have no issues here in the slightest. I think Cersei, as much as I'm always going to be a fan of playing potentially bad cards, so running Cersei in the same deck as Awesome Andy and then actually winning with it, I'm down for it. It's a lot of fun, but Cersei is definitely someone who should probably be getting a little bit more love.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Who do you have as your next card?
All right, we'll move away from the buffs here. I'm gonna go to a nerf because I wonder if you have a similar one. I don't know who you have. I think Frigga is still too good. I talked about this a little bit. I think Frigga. I think I mentioned this a week or two ago. I'm betting a few of my talks I've mentioned before are definitely ones that
are stealing mine.
Wait, I told you Frigga. I definitely told you Frigga.
I said Frigga.
I'm pretty sure I told you Frigga.
No, you did. I'm joshing you. I was talking about Frigga.
Oh, this guy.
Different thing.
Oh wait, what different? Okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Frigga is a card I think. When she was buffed, this is one of those cards kind of similar to, I think, Misery. I don't have Misery on my list, but kind of similar to Misery. When she got this buff, I was like, wait, why? Like, was this card really doing that badly? When she got to the 3/4? And again, I just didn't think she was doing that badly. I thought she was a little bit more niche and narrow, and now she's just, I think, a bit too easy. I just think she should be a 3/3.
3/3 Frigga, approved. I think that's on my list. I did on my list too. I didn't add it for you here, but yeah, I think Frigga 3/3. Misery 4/8 again. I don't think Misery needs to be a 4/9. Yeah, this doesn't need to be a 4/9. Like it genuinely, I don't know what them. I had no issues with Misery at a 4/8. I was like, Misery's going to a 4/9. Are we serious right now? Like,
didn't we talk about this? I was like, I want to know their back end stats that says that Misery needed this love. Like,
because this is essentially a 4/12 right now, or maybe not. I mean, I guess like a 5/18. Because you draw the hood.
That's the thing. I think Glenn talked about this where when someone asked him, what's the most difficult card for you to balance your other cards around? He mentioned the hood. And Misery with the hood is just, it's just so good. It's a really good combo. And again, these are both, I'm going to be, I don't know if this is a hot take here. Maybe you have Victoria Hand. I don't know if Victoria Hand's legitimately a problem. I just think it has a lot of like really good or like really well-statted tools that it's gotten.
I do think Victoria Hand goes to a 2/2. I don't think
2/2s again. It's fine.
If you make Victoria Hand a 2/1, which I've saw people do that, the Ravonna deck with a Victoria Hand, like you just do Ravonna stuff and it just goes crazy. Like I think that just even that.
But that's part of the reason why I'm like, okay, well, if they even reverted the Misery and Frigga changes that we're talking about here, like, would that be enough to hurt the Victoria Hand deck?
If you hit Frigga and Misery,
right?
Yes. I think that's enough.
Right. Like I don't think I'm going to say this. I don't think all three of these cards need to get hit that we just talked about. Frigga, Victoria Hand, and Misery. But one of them could get hit, and I think that'd be extremely fair. They're all good cards. They're just like all really good together. But then like they're also, I think, all like really close to being fine. But just because the combos are like really easy to do together, I think is the issue here.
Yeah. No, I think I agree there. I was talking actually on stream about the hood change. Like, can you change Hood? Because Hood went from a -2 to a -3. That's the way they changed him. They have not changed the demon at all. I wonder if you go from a 1/6 to a 1/5. But like you said, it's so hard to balance because, yes, you are affecting the Hood in this Victoria Hand deck. But you look at the Annihilus deck and you look at like the Clog deck and you're saying, well, I nerfed it for this deck, but I just made this other deck better. And I think that's something that makes it really hard, like for what Glenn was talking about here, where I just went through Victoria Hand, I just went through Misery. What is the Surge change that you have?
I mean, I just think she needs another point of power gone. Listen, I think 2/0 is completely fine for Surge. Surge is just a very good card. And I know I was someone who said initially just 1 point, as it's been almost like it's been about a month or so since she and Mr. Fantastic got changed. I believe so. But I think that it's like she's good. I just think she's really good. I don't know. I was looking at public stats as well and just realizing this is just a card it appears to be in so many decks in it for a very easy amount. A 2-0 Surge is still really good.
I don't think it needs to be a 2-0 just yet. It is in over 20% of decks right now, or 20% of games. Like I was looking at the stats last night. I don't think it's necessarily. I get like what you're saying, but I don't think it's an issue right now, kind of thing. Mr. Fantastic at a 3-4 is so tragic, though. Seeing the play rate of that card go absolutely get nuked. I think that is crazy.
Surge, I believe, is the public stats post infinite. So again, yada yada, asterisk here, whatever. So like, it just feels like it's not really a bad card, and just feels like it's too easy of a card to use in a lot of places, I think.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with that one, but that is okay.
That's fair. It's a fair like apprehension, I think, as it were.
And like,
but what else you got here?
I have Viv Vision as my last one to a 3-3. This isn't like a change I think that has to happen, because I've been playing some Viv, and at a 3-2, I'm getting her buffed anyways by like a Forge or like a Surge or like a Galactor or something. And if she goes off once or twice, maybe, that's good. She doesn't have to go off every single turn. But I'm wondering what the back end stats are for them, like with the season pass. Because it's
not even on season pass.
Yeah,
I think it's because again, this is the thing I've seen with this as well. I've heard a lot of people who are much better at the game than I, and who are like pro players, whatever, in the top, like, you know, whatever. And they're saying that Viv Vision is a card who is in need of a buff, a card that easily could get a buff to a 3-3 that you're talking about. And the stats I've seen don't reflect that. And so that's why I really this is one that I'm like, I could easily see it if Second Dinner's stats are different than what we've seen publicly, again, akin to that, like that Misery and the, I don't know, Terrax, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, maybe these just really aren't landing well. And that's kind of similar to where I'm at with Awesome Andy, for what it's worth. I just think more people agree with it, but I also would, a lot of the stuff that goes into what Second Dinner legitimately thinks, but then I've just seen enough people saying that Viv Vision just really isn't great. I don't think she's as bad as people are saying, but I also don't know.
She's dynamite at 3-3, so I wonder if they revert her back. And I think the difference is too, it's like the Captain Carter situation. I still look at that as one of the main things, where it's like, okay, we need to buff this card to be able to sell more of them. So I'm wondering, since Sparky is not something you have to buy the season pass for now, you can get it from the Super Premium or the Series 5 seasonal packs. If people have bought less of a season pass because they wanted Sparky instead, and because Viv's not performing, that they buff her up to a 3-3, like how they made Captain Carter go from a 4-3 to a 3-2. Like,
do you want to know the other reason why I think this card was like, well, they moved, this was also at one point an end of turn card.
Yes.
Which with Invisible Woman and such was really good, but also the biggest thing I actually didn't realize until like it took me way too long, as an end of turn card, this would have tried to make you win a location at the end of the game. I don't think we ever realized that. But we were just thinking about the buff or whatever. But if you were losing her location, she would have tried to move to a location, that location potentially could have won because of her moving at the end of the final turn. So that was a whole other thing I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
But it's those things in combination with just in general player sentiment makes me like, okay, this card could easily see that change. I just don't know if I want to see what's going on for them. I don't. This is basically, I could, if Second Dinner does it, then I agree it's probably the correct change. Even if it's people like, okay, they want to sell more season pass. Okay, for one, duh. For two, they also try to make sure cards are playable. I honestly think Viv Vision is playable. Not insanely good, but playable. But again, that may not be enough, like we talked about before, like you mentioned with Captain Carter, for them to put it inside of a season pass or what have you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those kind of situations. But wouldn't be surprised if they make that a 3-3. Dance, what are we doing with this card?
Toxie could be +3. Maybe she has to lose point of power for it, but it should be +3. The debuff of not being able to play cards for the following turn, it's so massive. I don't know. Like, this card can't even be played in hand buff.
That's true.
Which is the place where it's meant for. It's insane to me.
2/2 +3. Let's get it going, Dance. Make the
it's
card
only
actually
one more
good,
point,
right?
but Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I did have, I think, one other change as well. So, okay, this is a funnier one. I say it's funny, but also this is going to be more like this is going to be people thinking like Scrooge McDuck or what have you. If you look at, I'm leading you in here. Okay, I'm gonna give you a story. If you look at data mined bundles for Marvel Snap,
the $100 Punisher bundle,
$100. I heard plunger bundle, but anyway, Punisher bundle.
Yo, it's a plunger right now.
It is, and that's coming out, I think, fairly soon. I think it's coming out before they are next potentially doing a OTA. Yeah, it actually starts in 2 weeks. It's on the 23rd. Yeah, it's going to be 2 weeks, so it'll be before the next OTA. But here, the thing about this, and this was mentioned by, again, you mentioned Talk to Soul King, cool guy. He said, and I quote, and I'm from our DMs, he doesn't even know I'm going to quote him here, but I still like it. He said, they can't. He said, brother, they can't release a $100 bundle where 50% of the cards are unplayable.
That's true. And they buff cards normally before they release in those kind of bundles.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of like, I could see it.
Yeah.
I could see it. And I mean, just make it, again, in the end, this is kind of one of those things where I just want there to be exactly one more point of power on the card in normal situations. Make it a 3-0 plus 2.
So then it can go up to a 3-8 opposed to a 3-7.
It goes up to 3-8, becomes hittable with Ravonna. It gets makes cards like Moonstone and Onslaught enjoy it more.
I think go to 3-1 first, and then if it's too good, you go to 3-0.
That gives it 2 more points at max thing, which is potentially, that's fine. But
I mean, Gladiator goes to 3-8, and of course can like destroy a card. Punisher should have an ability to be able to destroy something. Punisher should not be a card that just, oh, there's an extra enemy here, I get extra power.
I had 3 different cards I was going to talk about today. Punisher is one of them that I just changed the abilities on entirely. And I said, I don't think this secondary would just do something like this, because a lot of the cards were also earlier series cards. I said, I don't think this is actually something secondary would do. And I had to stop myself repeatedly. This is one of those cards that I'm like, yeah, I could easily see them changing this card entirely to something different just for cooler things. I also just don't believe that they would, even if I wish it. Isn't this, by the way, from that season that technically neither of us were playing for, but we also, but it was like a $10 bundle, whatever, a month or so after?
What if they implemented for earlier collection players to get the concept, destroy a card that has less power than this? They added that to Punisher. Like, you just play it on the board, destroy a card with less power.
Would it be an enemy card or just any card? Any card, right? Enemy?
It would be an enemy card, but you don't. It's not a 3 cost anymore. You make it another. I mean, I guess Danger's gonna be an activate that does the same thing. I don't know. This card just has to be able to destroy something. Like, this is the Punisher. Why is the Punisher counting how many cards your opponent has on their side of the board?
You're not wrong that's a little bit of a weird ability, honestly. I do agree with that.
I think my ability is absolutely busted. Like, I don't think you can do that actually to Punisher, but like you make him like a 4-1, and it's just on reveal.
I don't even know if it could be a 4. It has to be like a 4-2, 4-3 potentially. Maybe 4-2.
Maybe.
Maybe 4-2.
Something different.
I don't know. But yeah, like, I wouldn't mind if a different ability entirely. I just don't believe Second Dinner would do that.
Yeah. No.
Right. So it's like, yes. But also, that's even too much copium for someone like me, I think.
What if actually it is a 3-2? Okay. 3-2. On reveal, cards that have less power than this get afflicted with -1.
Hold up. I like that, but what if it legit just said each enemy card here gets -1 power, 3-2?
Like ongoing?
Yeah, it's an ongoing.
Ongoing, each opponent card here gets minus power.
-1? No, -1. That's all you do. You just give it a -1.
Just -1.
Mm-hmm. Make it different from Man-Thing and US Agent. They both have to hit different areas and they do it better. But Punisher just kind of being a general 3, potential 6, maybe better with Diamondback.
That could be interesting.
-1 power to each enemy card here. That already is really similar. That's literally, I've changed 2 words. I changed the plus to a minus and then the 4 to a 2.
And like the animation's like a smoke screen.
It's the same thing. It works for the same thing because you literally see him do his like little explosion over there. Bro, we have to stop cooking OTAs. I don't know. It's too good. This plus the hammer OTA, right? We're cooking too hard. It's a problem.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'd be down. Something to make Punisher better. Why not?
Yeah. No, that's actually that's kind of fire, and I love it. I actually really love that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun stuff there. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about what we want in this game, right? We've already hit our OTA stuff. We've also talked about a lot of cards just in Marvel Snap in general, or a lot of teams that we really want to see get added to this roster, get added to Marvel Snap. You want to break some of those down and talk about the cards we want, like who they are a little bit, give some details on all that?
I do, but first, before we do that, I actually want to talk about a card that is coming out this week that we both have been very excited about, and that is going to be Bastion, which, if you guys did not know, is a Series 5 card, 4 cost, 3 power. On reveal, add copies of your other cards here to your hand, set their cost to 2 and power to 3. You get your own little Sentinel versions of the other cards here. And Dance actually made this card way back in one of the original Yaps, and this is one of his, focal cards he wanted because of X-Men 97 at the time. Spoiler alert.
Sure.
But what are you thinking about Bastion so far?
For one, I even think I remember when we talked about that. I'm like, hey, if this happened, it probably wouldn't be for a very long period of time due to they have like a run thing or whatever. What are the odds, right? When at that moment they were planning out this coming season and figuring it out. Anyway, Bastion's gonna be a really cool card. I think one of the biggest things, and biggest things I really liked with the idea. We talked about it before. I even said last week that I was going to steal a Victoria hand from you because you did that with Moira. And Victoria hand with Bastion feels like a very real deck. I mean, Moira's been a lot of fun this week as well, but Bastion feels extremely cool, especially with the fact that you can use Quinjet to make these cards that he brings back 1 cost.
Yes, which is crazy, crazy potential. And I like your list too, because like if you even copy a card that has like more than 3 power, you could essentially Shadow King them back to their original cost or their original power too.
That's legitimately a point I wanted to go for, because if you don't have to play the Shadow King on every single one, but again, assuming you have Quinjet down, that's just, imagine you hit a card like, I don't know, let's imagine for some reason you hit the Misery, for some reason you hit a Frigga. You could just also give it 1 more point of power with the Shadow King and potentially use the Shadow King as an offensive tool. Yep. Which is a lot of really cool stuff here. And you could potentially turn the Hood better. You get to get all those cards come back as 1 cost, which I think is a really big thing as well. I don't know. There's just a lot of really fun stuff here. And I was talking with you about it before we started yapping about, I think the only slot that I was uncertain about was Mobius. And Mobius is solid for the mirror as well. Yep. And also going to be solid against Bastion and potentially for the, I think, upcoming week as well. A lot of really cool stuff specifically with him. But I was also saying, like, this could have been a card. I was talking about potentially thinking even Juggernaut or Red Guardian. You also mentioned Shang-Chi. So if this is a list y'all are interested in, I do think Mobius is legitimately, that's the most, like, tech card slot out for what you would want. Bastion could also just not be here. I think in the list that I had previously, just in my deck editor for Victoria Hand, I think I had Moon Girl in his slot, and I do believe it's a similar swap there.
Yeah, the original list does have Moon Girl. There's also a world if you want to do a little bit more tech, you swap out Surge. You don't have to have Surge, because like if you're looking at the way you play this, like more often than not on 2, you're probably playing Iron Patriot or Victoria Hand if you have the Frigga line. Surge is like the alternate for that. Whereas like your turn 3 is potentially Mobius, or it's like a turn 5 kind of play, because on 4 you more often than not are wanting to play Bastion out a 4 or 5, and like it's trying to find out like into the matchup when you're playing stuff out, which I think is just really important with this list, especially running up against lists that are also running like Killmonger and stuff. Like, when are you playing the stuff out that you want to play in order to either duck priority so your cards don't get blown up by Killmonger, or if cards don't get hit by like Not necessarily like Enchantress, because you're not seeing a lot of Enchantress right now, but different ways to kind of like steal power and like snapping with this list, I think is very important, because there's a lot of layers to it. It's not just, oh, I generate cards, I have Victoria Hand. Like, it's really like there's a lot of matchup, like niche kind of moments and circumstances with this list. Like, as you guys saw in the tournament itself, like that's how Victoria Hand was able to make it to like the top 4, was being able to duck certain things and all that. So very solid list.
Yeah, and then one of the other things that we had talked about last week was potentially talking about like a Cerebro 3 thing, but you mentioned something else since that point where you were talking about, hey, there's a lot of really good ongoing cards that you really would like to have at a 2-3 stat line.
Yep.
Thusly,
we have this list over here. Ongoing bots is what I'm calling it here. We have Quinjet in here. It's kind of on that flex spots that like Dance and I've kind of been talking about off the pod kind of situation. You have Astral Projection in here to be able to get a Spectrum out on turn 6 and play potentially up to 3 of those created cards by Bastion if you have Quinjet, by the way. Or you can even use that to get an earlier Bastion on your cards instead of playing Bastion out. So like you have a bunch of different options there. There's also the Mercury Moonstone interaction, where if Mercury's on the Moonstone lane, you can then move Moonstone wherever you would like to as well to spread that power across the board. You have Gorgon for all the people that are playing Bastion right now and creating copies of cards, as well as Mobius for that interaction too. Both those are ongoing cards. Also, Sam Wilson's Shield into Bastion. If you have Mobius down, it makes your shield a 0/3. So you have another just zero cost card that is an ongoing card that can buff your Goliath. You can throw into a Captain Carter lane or give your Captain Carter even more value for other things later on. Like, there's a lot of just really cool, I think, different layers to this, or even an Ant-Man at a 1/3 could be pretty nice. So like just different ways to kind of like mess around this, which I really like.
Yeah, I think this is another one that also, like, this really intrigued me. This seemed like a really cool idea. And I think both Tuck and I both like both of the ideas. I think that for this stuff, and I'm glad it's fun that we actually moved away from Cerebro 3. I know you did talk about Cerebro 3 as well, I think in your buy or bust, which fair point. I think that's another one that I'm like,
is it too expensive though? It's like, that's the thing.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. I've seen some of the lists do, like, I feel like Valkyrie's also struggled in those types of lists. And so then Bastion feels like, okay, you're kind of doing what Valkyrie does, but only on your side. I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting stuff there with Bastion just in general. So I like I like what we have here. And this is, if you want to, if there's more stuff I think that could be mentioned about it, y'all should be checking out the buy or bust that Tuck does be putting out each and every week. I said those words. Anyway,
I think so.
Tuck does great content for every single new of these Series 5 cards or season passes that are going to be coming out each and every month for Marvel Snap each and every week. There's a lot of really cool cards, a lot of really interesting pieces, and Tuck breaks them all down. He talks about a lot of the stuff we actually talk about here as well, but breaks them down into further detail without me interjecting or interrupting him or disagreeing with him in the slightest. So make a point to go watch those videos, as well as while you're there, he has a lot of other really great content where this video platform is. Audio is obviously elsewhere, as long as I upload stuff. And we also do, he also does have a lot of really great stuff over on the TikToks, the Twitters, the Twitch. Twitch is the third one. That's what I knew. I was forgetting one more. Twitch, y'all. He's just also a really cool guy who is 27, and I almost said that I was 27. He is 27. I remember this. Anyway, he's an awesome individual. Please go check him out. He deserves all the loves, all the follows, all the subscriptions. Please give him support. He deserves it. He's awesome. Go over and just hit the button if you're watching right below. It's good stuff. I may or may not have shown me learning how old I was to a couple of my wife thought that was way too funny. It was very upsetting how
so good. That's so good. Also, thinking of Cerebro 3 as well, I'm wondering if there's a world where you do the Ravonna Cerebro 3 so you can get Iron Man down on 4 and then you Bastion that on 5 to get 2-3 Iron Man kind of situation. There's a lot of interesting, more ongoing style of Cerebro things I think you could potentially do with that.
You do. You got Cerebro, Mystique, Iron Man. Are those the cards that I'm trying to think of who else you want to also Bastion hit? I guess at that point you're also
Ravonna.
I was gonna say Ravonna's another one that's gonna be real there. One that you The only one that I was gonna say I think you might potentially be subbing in this list, which I think you would if you took out for Quinjet. I think one of the other ones we had talked about.
Well, it's not this list, but I meant like in.
No, I'm saying in this one, but
this
also
one.
you'd put it in that list too. Would be Lucas Cage.
Yeah, Luke for like the Moonstone or like hitting a Mobius or kind of thing.
I was gonna say yeah for Mobius and stuff, as well as just bad locations.
Yeah,
are just rough there. But yeah, there's a lot of really. God, there's just a lot of fun stuff. I'm excited for Bastion's going to be opening up a lot of deck building that I'm really excited about. And if, as much as we were talking about in our OTA wishlist, right, where we were saying like, okay, we want these cards to get hit, Bastion, I think, would be the biggest reason why Victoria Hand's the one that is targeted out of those cards. I think just due to how good it seems he potentially will be.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that being the case for something like that to happen. But another thing we're going to be talking about, as we were talking about other topics, as you see the glowing topic we have over here, is we're going to be talking about those teams that Dance was talking about earlier. Which team do you want to start with, Dance? Who do you want to assemble first?
Do you actually think that people who watch this know that like these down below, like that indicates what subject we're currently on? Do you think people know that?
Maybe. I think there's a good gist of people that do.
Well, if y'all didn't know that, that's interesting. Actually, sorry, it's unrelated. You said that, and I'm like, yeah, that's going. And then I was like, we've known that. We've talked about that. I don't know if we've ever said that. Like, that's the point. Like, let us know if you knew that. That's actually, as an aside, I actually just really would love to know if you knew that, or Tuck or me saying that right now actually was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even notice it glowed or whatever at that point. Like, I'm oblivious. I would have probably never noticed it legitimately. I would have been like, okay, cool or whatever. But sorry, that's such an aside. Anyway, I think what the list or the group of people I've talked to you the most about is the only one that's not on the same platform as everything else. It's the Infinity Watch, which y'all don't know who these people are. There's a whole bunch of stuff where the Infinity Stones, right? There's different versions of the Infinity Watch out there, but this is one particular one that is Series Comics. And I remember Inhyuk Lee was doing some comic covers for these things, which I just thought were sick. I remember talking with you about them. And this was even, I remember I talked to you back when they were doing a lot less cards per season. So there's potentially more issues as of now as they're doing more things. But what they do is it's all the Infinity Stones have basically gone to different people, and one person is wielding each of them. And I remember I talked to you about this. I can pull up the full thing here. And did you know there's a Death Infinity Stone, by the way? I feel like I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's one of the newer ones they actually created.
Is there another one other than the Death one? I heard about the Death one, but I didn't think there was a different.
There might be. This really gives me a lot of like Green Lantern vibes.
It really is kind of Green Lantern, legitimately. I think there's just a lot of that stuff. But let's see this thing. Oh yeah, here you go. So what I had taught. So there is the Time Stone, who is wielded by the person known as Overtime. Star is the gal in the middle screen. She is wielding the Reality Stone. Quantum, the Space Stone, I believe, our fella in the back right.
Yeah.
Then you also have Apex, the Power Stone, on the bottom left, and Multitude as the top left Soul, which you're also like, hey, that's only 5 of the Infinity Stones here.
Mind. It looks like Mind Stone.
I definitely got Mind and Soul messed up. Wait, oh no, that's Soul. That is Soul. That actually is Soul. It looks like Mind, but Colleen Wing wields the Mind Stone.
Okay.
And so, speaking of, there's a series. There are 2 easier cards to get each and every time inside of the season pass or whatever that are like Series 3 and lower. I had planned it out again, but back when there was only like 5 or whatever. Colleen Wing is one. She wields the Mind Stone, and Agent Coulson is the leader of the group, who also wields the Death Stone.
Agent Coulson wields the Death Stone. Wow.
I'm really hoping I'm not getting my lore wrong here. But anyway, there's a whole thing. I wrote down abilities, but also I know for a fact we want to talk about other things. Also, cool thing with I believe Quantum, he actually is holding the Space Stone within his chest. I don't know if you can notice that over there, but he's legitimately empty space in his chest where he's just making the Soul Stone or Space Stone float. Anyway, also, and lastly, the guy who looks like an off-brand Green Lantern, aka Overtime, kind of gives Dilf.
Looks like Johnny Cage a little bit too from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, he does.
Johnny Cage mixed with or Plastic Man. Both of them.
Yeah, like Plastic Man's bro. That's Plastic Man's dad, confirmed, 100%. That's legitimately Plastic Man's dad. That's what. That's how they sell it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. It'd be cool.
This is one of the things, right? If we're talking about the teams we want to assemble or we would want to see in Marvel Snap, these as a people would be really cool. I don't know how you'd get the extra 4 or so now that they do inside of each season. Now they do a lot more, but
well, you could have like
fun list at
people
least.
they fight or something as like villains of like something.
True.
And
people
then,
who will like maybe try to wield the Infinity Stones.
Yes. Then we have Council of Kangs is another just season that we think could be pretty cool to kind of have and mess around with, which I was like, Dance, that's a good shout too. We talked about it when we had like the Kang abilities. Like I think like the way Dead Guy set it up, I think that was like a really cool kind of situation we could have.
Yep. And honestly, I could see Kang doing it, but then also these others existing in general. Again, the thing is, the only thing I will hear probably is like Rama Tut is Kang. Cool. Scarlet Spider and Symbiote Spider-Man are both things inside of Spider-Man variants. We're fine.
True.
So there's like a bunch of different Kang variants out there, and I remember, I think I talked about this before, like when I was doing work trying to design Kang the Conqueror inside of Marvel Villainous. I remember looking at all his variants and like writing down which ones were cool. You've got the Scarlet Centurion. You've got I don't have the full list now in front of me because I accidentally closed the page. But you have other people again. Rama Tut. You've got, I believe, Victor Timely, who was in the Loki show. Which, by the way, Loki show is just cool. I want to rewatch that. And then I believe the only other one is Immortus. Those are the biggest 4, but there are definitely a lot more. Even stuff like Kamala Kang or Kangaroo the Conqueror is a legitimate thing. Those are all different characters, different people that I'd be like, I would kind of love to see them appear inside of Marvel Snap in a just legitimate way.
This is when we finally get a patch where Kang actually gets reworked. Would be the the Council of Kang season. So I would be down. We also have Agents of Atlas, which we have some of those already in Marvel Snap. You know, we have Arrow, we have Luna Snow, Shang-Chi, and Wave, but we don't have Jimmy Woo, and Braun. Like, those are some additional ones. And then it looks like...
Is Braun Cho?
Yeah, that is Cho.
Amadeus Cho? Oh, yeah. Remember, he's like the totally awesome Hulk or whatever? That's another... Yeah, that he is someone else that I've also thought about for a bit. Like, he's someone I think eventually will definitely get added, because I feel like there was a time where Marvel was really trying to sell him. Gorilla Man, Marvel Boy is already in there.
Human Robot, Venus. Like, there's definitely a group of people we could still get. Like, we have Silk. I forget. I don't think this is Venus. We got Swordmaster in here, too. Like, there's a lot of different characters I think we could also get for, like, another, like... young West Coast Avengers kind of season thing. We could do the Agents of Atlas, which would be nice. And then you have the Warrior 3.
Right, the Warrior 3. These are also 3 characters that, like, are actually pretty large characters inside of Thor lore, who you may forget about because, again, they were in the first 2 Thor movies.
Yep.
And yes, you do. I'm so sorry. I forgot about your striking resemblance. My apologies.
They are large.
Very large. Yeah, true, in multiple ways. But they have a presence in the comics. They are they're actual people, and then they get killed off kind of inside of the 3rd Thor because
they get nuked. Yeah,
they just kind of get nuked immediately, which is unfortunate. But they are legitimately pretty sick, and they're people that I'd love to see inside of Marvel Snap. Again, this isn't a whole season, but this is a cool group of people. Give us some more Asgardians, because right now, I think we're still struggling just a little bit.
Yeah, no, only Asgardian that's kind of doing well. I guess there's 2 to maybe 3. You got Jane, Odin, and Gore. Gore's not even Asgardian, but like
Gore's not even Asgardian.
Yeah, Gore's not even Asgardian, but like that style of Lady Sif, I guess. Yeah, Lady Sif. But like the people from that like comic era.
Her face is literally hidden by in comics.
That is true.
Wazowski thing. Right? Because Mike Wazowski always gets his face covered, right? I don't know why. It's like the Warriors 3, but then they're showing her face like, oh gosh, we have to make sure people don't think it's actually her. We'll just perfectly choose this frame right here.
She got freaking Wazowski. I'm weak. We also have the Runaways, which we have Nico. Nico is like the only runway we have in Snap right now. So we could get a runway season, and we can even get their parents, because their parents are supervillains. So you could have that as like part of, it's a cult that like they're running away from. As like a whole season, which would be pretty cool. And then, Dance, I have been talking about this group for ages. The Wrecking Crew. If we could get the Wrecking Crew, you know, you'll have Bulldozer, Pile Driver, Thunderball, and the Wrecker, like, just to name a few. Like, there's these, like, it would be so cool to actually get them. I mean, that's 4. Like, we'd have to have more. Like, this is the current members. There's former members, which says, you know, Excavator, so there'll be 5. And then if it's like, you know, street level, you know, threats, we get some more street level villains. Maybe we get Tombstone then. Maybe that's
we have a
like
Datamine version, I think, of him.
We have Tombstone Datamine. We have Hydro-Man Datamine. We have, like, you know, stuff like that. But I bet the Hydro-Man stuff's gonna be like part of a different season.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, whatever. Still, Wrecking Crew. I mean, I'm down for. I think that they're a really cool group of people who obviously have a lot of power behind them, are very interesting, and I would be more than happy to see appear in some way in Marvel Snap. I wish there was a way. Listen, they removed the ruin, okay, from Rhino.
Yep.
Put a synergy where they all like try to ruin locations. I don't know how you do it, but maybe there's something where it's like like 3 of them can ruin locations, whatever, and then one of them gets bonuses for it, like a lot of ruin. I don't know, something like that. Just give us something to destroy stuff, whether it actually is wrecking opponents' cards or it's ruining locations. There's a lot of cool stuff with them. Maybe throwing rubble rocks around. I like it.
That'd be cool. This card gets plus power for each location changed. That'd be a pretty cool card or something to come out. Maybe that's like
one. That's legitimately one that I would like to see in general. I don't think you could do it as a. I don't think it'd be an ongoing. It'd have to be something that's like on the board, because otherwise it's so difficult to track. Marvel Snap needs to have some better way to track stuff already in terms of like how big is null and what have you. We've talked about that many times. If they make it so it's ongoing, maybe.
Location changes would be easier to track than null, but
that's probably fair. But also, it's not. Neither one's easy. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, I like it. I also am just. This was an aside. Yes. I want a UI change second dinner. Besides the point. Wrecking Crew's cool.
No, Wrecking Crew, and then another one I was thinking of is the Marauders. So like the Marauders is like a group of like it's got like Sabretooth, you know. Sinister's pretty much a group of like mutants and stuff and everything. As I get off, I can't see. Dan, you guys can still see it.
Oh, we can see it still. But this is one that also it talks about a little bit here. It's this is are they Morlocks? Because also Morlocks as a group are also haven't been added. So Morlocks. Is that the same group, or is that a different?
So they're a group of criminals working on behalf of the interests of villain or Sinister. Sinister had long devoted his life to study the genetics of mutations in particular. Knowing of the existence of an underground community called the Morlocks, Sinister decided that their existence was compromising and diluting the genetic gene pool. To remedy this, he made Gambit, a thief that owed Sinister a favor for restoring balance to his formulative mutant powers, to form a group of mercenaries into a team of marauders that would work for him.
There you go. There's what is it? And who else are in here that we do have?
Let's see. After another marauder, Malice attempted to possess that. Malice, you know, from like I think Malice is either the Invisible Woman Malice or someone else. Yeah,
it says a Morlock Malice, which I think is a different one.
Okay. They also joined forces with the Acolytes, which the Acolytes, by the way, is another group of like evil mutants.
Okay.
This actually no, I think there's different. Like, there's so many different like X-Men, like, you know, groups of people and stuff. So that could be really cool to kind of like mess around with and see some of these seasons. If Dance and I had just more comic book knowledge, you know, this would just be.
You have more than I've got some stuff, but I know you also do have more than me.
Still some only, I think, for me too. But
yeah, there's a lot of there's just other cool teams. Exactly. How many other ones do we have? Because I know I have at least one more. I don't know if we have.
The last one I have is the Future Foundation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is one that also like whether or not they do it in exactly like this. Which one of the reasons I wanted Future Foundation is purely because I want the Future Foundation as a card back.
Yeah, and honestly, Franklin could be the card that does the locations. Yeah.
Franklin Richards is also a card that definitely is. Okay, here's my guess. It's been long enough since Fantastic Four came out. We can talk about it, right? And maybe we've talked about this before. I don't remember. And so if y'all haven't seen Fantastic Four, you want spoilers, I don't know, skip forward like a minute real quick. Is Franklin Richards going to be akin to what, and maybe even potential spoilers, I don't know. Anyway, is Franklin Richards, I'm delaying to give them time to skip forward. Is Franklin Richards going to be akin to a Molecule Man inside of what they did for Secret Wars?
I think so.
That's my guess as well. I don't know, but that's my personal guess here. It's what I was talking to my wife about that, and she's like, I don't know the comics. I don't know this stuff. I'm like, and I was starting to say, like, are you based stuff off the comics? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, no, don't tell me stuff. I'm like, all right, my bad. So I feel like there's a real chance that Franklin could be something akin to that, which I remember, I think I talked to you about that. I watched like the 1.5 hour long like video where they go through all of the lore for, yeah. Also, Valeria has a wild story.
Yes, Valeria, like Franklin, Valeria, Artie, Luna Maximoff, Dragon Man. That's 5 people.
Dragon Man, by the way, is someone else that I just also liked, but there's a bunch of other people, right? Because you've got
Lightspeed would be 6. Did not mean to hit Jim Hammond. We're already getting Jim Hammond. You also get Nathaniel Richards, which would be 7.
That's Cable.
Or I mean, yeah, but you could make him maybe label him Nathaniel Richards instead of, or
that's fair.
Well, no, wait, no.
Though.
Nathan Summers is Cable.
Oh yeah.
So this is someone else.
Wait, who's Nathaniel Richards? Oh, that's their dad, right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll find Nathaniel Richards, Elijah.
I think it's Reed Richards.
And then Scott Lang, Ant-Man instead of Hank Pym.
Scott Lang is a character, like, Scott Lang Ant-Man is another one that we just haven't seen inside. Technically, they've done, like, both versions of Ant-Man. So you could give us Scott Lang or Hank Pym, and either one would probably be fair.
But they've already given us, Fantastic First Steps, and now Fantastic and, different Spider-Man. So we could do Scott Lang Ant-Man.
I wish we still knew why they didn't call that. Did they talk about why they weren't just called like their actual names, like Reed Richards, Sue Storm, instead of just saying First Steps under every single one?
Nope. No
Maybe
idea.
it's because they also wanted to do the Galactus and Silver Surfer, which the only issue within all of those like 5 cards would be probably Mr. Fantastic, or not? Sorry, Galactus, because that's the same name both times.
I guess probably. Maybe that's where their head's at. But that is the gist of all of the teams that we just thought off the top of the head. Those are not all the teams, of course, of Marvel by any means whatsoever. But let us know down below. Do you guys have any teams or groups of people that you guys would love to see added to the game? Probably need to have like a handful of characters for each of them to be able to like count as like, Series 5, Series 4 cards or whatever, just for the general gist of stuff going on. But we want to say, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. And we're excited because next week, we'll be doing a preview and going over the patch. So it'll be a little bit later release of the Yap next week.
Next week? I definitely remembered that.
So just keep that in mind. It'll be a later Yap release next Tuesday, probably late afternoon or evening kind of thing. But until then,
since it is going to be a later one, use the word later if you've made it to the very end of the comments down below. The word later. We're going to go with the word later today. I think I also asked earlier if y'all knew about the stuff in terms of like stuff being brighter in terms of our sections down below. So use the word later. And if you didn't know about it, let us know about that as well down below. Now I'm going to let Tucker go back to doing his outro.
But yeah, it's been real. God bless and laters.